Hi, this is Joe Chambers. Thanks for watching Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage. And don't forget to like and subscribe below. It really helps. When did the Rebel Rouser and all that stuff start happening?
Well, I went back from that
totally
to
changing your whole life.
on March 16th. I went in and sat down and plugged in, and I had just used to play music before I'd go into the studio. Just get myself, worked up.
Right.
Played a little George Jones, Ernie, Tennessee Ernie. He had a folk album then. And again, Jack Fascinato did the arrangements, and he did that same thing. Sometimes he'd just have and Ernie would sing 9-pound hammer, and then something else would come in. I love that concept. And so I just sat there singing and had the drummer play a backbeat for me and wrote Rebel Rouser. I tried and tried, I couldn't think of a bridge, and I thought, well, I guess it doesn't need one. And but I need to change something, so I thought, well, I know what I'll do, I'll modulate. So that's what I did. And we planned out where the sax solo would be. I knew F sharp would be a good key for him, F or F sharp, either one. Whereas E was never good for a sax player, although he did do the answers in the third chorus, I think, in E. And then in F, and then he played his solo in F sharp, and then we went to G and did 3 there, and that was it. Quieted down again, and then let her rip for the last 2, and the sharps started. They were clapping and oohing and on, and they started going, hey, play that mother. And
so that like exploded for you, right?
Yeah. Well, not right away. Everybody liked Stalking, which was a bluesy thing on the B side.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Dick Clark played it for 2 weeks, and nobody cared. And Lee called up one day and says, well, it looks like you're going to have a short career. He was, whatever he thought he'd say. And even I wouldn't say that, but he did. And I laughed and I said, why is that? And he said, well, I tried to get Dick to turn over the record, and he said, they're playing it in some markets, but not many. And he says, because they're waiting to see what he does, they see he's playing that, so they figure we'll play Stalking. And so anyway, he called me up the next Monday. That was on a Friday. And he called me on the Mondays, and the record company said the same thing. I said, can't we call them and tell them to get somebody to turn it over? And he says, no, I tried, they won't do it. And then I talked to them, I called them myself. I said, can't you get somebody Dick to turn it over, or somebody to play it? And said, no, I tried that, but I've been trying real hard, but he just not interested. So I was kind of depressed for the week, and then Monday, the label called and Lee called, and they both said at different times, they said, well, I got Dick to turn it over. I said, oh, great, and then Lee called and said, well, I got Dick to turn it over. And I said, well, I wonder which one's telling the truth here, but it didn't matter as long as he turned it over. And then a couple of years later, I'm flying along in a plane with Dick. He liked me to travel with him sometimes. He could talk to me, and knew it wouldn't go any further. He confided in me in a lot of personal stuff, but it didn't, I just forget it, And he said, did I ever tell you how I happened to turn Stalking over? And I said, no, I figured that the label and Lee Hazelwood had begged you to do that, and you did it as a favor to them. He said, well, what happened was, he says, I did these record hops, and I'd drive out from Philadelphia out to Allentown, Pennsylvania, or somewhere else 150 miles out, and he said, rent a little hall and put the equipment in, and take 3 boxes of singles, 1 for each hour, 3 hour long, charge $1.50 to get in, $1.25, something like that. and do the same thing he did on Bandstand. He'd DJ, and they'd dance and everything. These kids would come, and, on Friday night, record hop, you know. So he says, I got there to Allentown, I think it was, and he says, played the first 2 hours, and then I looked and I realized, I don't have my third box. Oh, I remember now. I set it on the shelf, and I didn't put it in the back of the station wagon. He didn't drive a station wagon out there with a sound system. And he says, I know what I'll do. And he told the kids, the audience, he said, I forgot a box of records, so I don't have any other hits to play, but how would you like to hear the B-sides of some of these hits? Yay, yeah. And we'll decide if there's any of them really good or something. So they started along about the third or fourth one. He turned Stalking over and played Rebel Rouser. He said first they milled around a little bit during the part where there's no drums, but as soon as it kicked in, they started dancing like crazy. I had to play it 3 more times. He says they came up as soon as it was over. Play it again, please, Mr. Clark. Play it again. And so he said, I did, and had to play it 3 more times that night. And then I was ready to go home and close up, and they said, could you play that song once again? So he said, I ended up playing it 4 times that night, and I told myself, I'm going to schedule this on Monday. And he did. And that's how, but for that, him forgetting a box of records, I wouldn't be sitting here now, probably.